Hi Lisa, I joined a group that says that when most of people come into the body, we are in the phase 1, where there is significant lies and illusions that limit one and create struggles to that. We don't perceive oneself as a light body and we aren't aware of our true self. Then there is phase 2, where we experience that we are our higher self and that this higher self is running the show and creating itself in such a way to have our special story or journey unfold perfectly, even though our mind machine does not think so. And then we go into this phase 2 experience. There becomes much more ease and true joy, and we experience oneself as one with true creative essence or higher self. What is your big out-of-box viewpoint on the experiences to shifting from phase 1? So basically, there are so many different teachings, and you'll notice there's a similarity in all of them. All of them speak about this higher self, or this light body, or this light self. And when you hear them speak about it, what they're speaking about is presence, is this I am presence, or that's what I interpret it to be. So they're speaking about this, I think they're speaking about presence. And all of them have different stories to it as to why you're separate, different methods to becoming home again, and they all speak about it differently. So you've got Eckhart Tolle, that's all about being in the present moment. You've got Course in Miracles, that is about hearing spirit and hearing the voice of God. You've got Non-Duality, where I'd say there is no body, there is only presence. Who you are is consciousness, or that alive presence. You've got Christianity, that will talk about, well, I don't know Christianity that well, but would talk about the Holy Ghost, like the Trinity. Yeah, I can't comment that much about Christianity. I don't know that much about it, even though I am Christian, or was born into Christianity. A terrible Christian. I know more about Non-Duality, Course in Miracles, the higher self, and all are talking about this essence that you are, all of them. And they all have loads of different ways of phrasing it, and this and that, light body. But all of them are pointing to the present moment. The Buddhists, the Buddha nature, and what you are right now. The Buddhists, I love it the way the Buddhists say it, they'd say that you're emptiness and wholeness simultaneously, because that's what presence is. Like, where is presence? Where do you find it? It's not a thing, and it's all things. Emptiness, it's totally empty and it's full. The experiencer, who is the experiencer? There is a character, but the character isn't the experiencer, and this experiencer is not a thing, emptiness, and all things. Like, where in this room does your experience end? You tell yourself the experience ends at my body, but where does it actually end? Where does your feeling stop? Where does your looking stop and the world begin? Where does your hearing stop and the heard begin? Where is the beginning and end to anything in experiencing? You've got a personality, a character that arises that says, I was born in 1980, I'm 30, how old am I? 37 years old. I'm super intelligent. I'm super, what else is there? Whatever. Super this, super that, super not this, super not that. I like this, I like that. But that character is never experienced a thing, it's being experienced. And when you I would say in the way non-dualists would speak about it, most of them, is that this personality, this character arose when the brain started thinking, which is maybe at the age of 1 or 2, and you began to believe that you were only the character, that you were a name, you were someone moving in time, that you are your hobbies, your likes, your dislikes, your behavior traits, your good actions, your bad actions. But actually there was something there prior to that. And what was that? What was prior to that person arising, that character arising. And can you see that character comes and goes, and it's always changing and always growing? So that character cannot be the experiencer. So who's the experiencer? Right now, who's the experiencer? When you begin to see that all there is this presence, this I am presence, and that character which is so involved in itself and gets headaches in anxiety and thinking about itself, is an experience happening, but not the experiencer. And the experiencer is this sense of aliveness, this I amness. And this is where I was saying about putting your attention back on that I am. So that character feels totally involved in itself and totally chaotic. So that character can put its attention on this I am. And when that character's feeling chaotic feelings, that character can put its attention on the feelings and on the discomfort. But notice that all of that, the character and the person putting its attention on feelings and doing all these activities, there is an awareness of it. There is a knowing of that the person's arising and disappearing in inherent consciousness, this inherent consciousness of this. But while that person feels uncomfortable, and while it feels really separate, then keep bringing the attention back to what's actually happening, back to the feelings, back to the I am. And the reason that I recommend this now, so for years I never recommended activity and just kept pointing to what you're not, is I've realized the pitfalls of just teaching the other side that you aren't that person. Is the pitfalls as the person begins to put it into a very itself into a very apathetic position, into a very passive position. And it just wants me to speak and for it to listen and it to happen. And it doesn't want to do anything. And it begins to put itself in a very non-active position. But that person in a way, the character in a way, has got to be a part of this. Even though it's not the character that wakes up, because the character's never experienced a thing, the character has got to see the illusion of itself. It's got to be part of it. Otherwise that character can get stuck into so many traps of believing non-duality to be true, to be taking non-duality on the human level. So it's like, I am nobody, or I am that alive presence on the character level. That is who you ultimately are, but the character that's moving in time is the character moving in time. And that character moving in time feels like it's got free will, feels like it can choose. Even though ultimately, on the ultimate level, it can't choose and it doesn't have free will, it feels like it does. So while it feels like it's got free will, it can choose to explore its feelings. It can choose to explore its thoughts. It can choose to put its attention back to presence. It can choose to sit and meditate. Even though on the ultimate level there is no chooser and there is no doer, there is only presence happening. If that person begins to take on that thought process, it will begin to become depressed and apathetic and inactive. And that's depressive to that character. Being inactive is depression to the character. So there's a fine line between hearing this information and seeing that who you are isn't that person and isn't the character, and that who you truly are doesn't choose and isn't the chooser, but on the human level, understanding that you feel like you choose, you feel like you have the choice to get up and go for a run. Ultimately you don't. Whether that happens or not isn't down to you, ultimately, but you see that that person has the feeling of choice, and how important it is that that person does things and doesn't get into a trap of becoming depressed and not doing things, because that will loop in on itself. So while you feel like the person, you can put your attention in the I am, in the alive presence, And when there's lots of contracted suffering, you can explore that. And if that's too confusing and you're feeling overwhelmed, because that's a character thing, feeling overwhelmed and feeling confused, that's a character thing, then we can work through it on a one-to-one session, but don't get stuck. That is a character flaw.